To order today is September the 30th, 2024. Pursuant to Council Rule 28, the public comment period at committee meetings is limited to items that appear on the committee agenda. We do have one speaker signed up, Mr. Steve Ryder, who's going to be speaking on RS 2024-744. Mr. Ryder, you're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I support the resolution, but I do have a concern, and that is that it's a reallocation of funds. And so I'm worried that this is not in the regular budget. And I'm worried about a fiscal cliff that might happen in fiscal year 2026. So since this is a recurring expense, I hope the administration takes into account and fully funds the supportive services and the operating expenses. So thank you very much.
Thank you so very much. That was the only speaker that we had, so we're going to go ahead and go to the items that we are proposing to be on consent. I have the following items for the consent agenda: RS 2024-738, RS 2024-740, 741, 742, 743, 744, 745, 747, 748, 749, 751, 752, 753, 754, 755, 756, 757, 760, 761, 762, 763, and 764. Is there any item that anyone would like pulled off the consent agenda? Council Lady Sora, did you want to pull anything off consent? Okay, what item? Council Lady Sora, you're recognized. Okay, Councilmember Allen, you're recognized.
I'll buy some time for Councilmember Sawara. RS 2024-740.
740 has
Yes,
been
ma'am.
pulled off consent. Are there any other items that anyone would like to pull off of consent? Council Lady Sora, you're recognized. Can you use your mic? Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. And my apologies, I don't have the consent calendar, so if I'm saying stuff that are not on consent, pardon me. 741, please.
Okay.
Also, apologies.
It's okay. I'm going to actually read the...
745.
Okay. I was going to say, Council Lady, I actually need to read the consent agenda, so I'll let you bump after I get done reading, so that way, if you have anything else, we can catch it. But we did take 745 off of the consent agenda. All right, so... Right now, for the proposed consent agenda, we have RS 2024-738, Porterfield, Welsh, Hancock, and others accepts a grant from the State of Tennessee Administrative Office of the Courts to the Davidson County Juvenile Court for the provision of interpreter translation services for parties with limited English proficiency. RS 2024-742, Johnson, Gamble, Sepulveda, and others amends RS 2022-1863 to extend the project term, which appropriated $500,000 in the American Rescue Plan Act funds from Fund 30216 to Our Place Nashville for the provision of affordable housing for adults with developmental disabilities. RS 2024-743, Sepulveda, Porterfield, Welsh, and Allen amends Exhibit A to RS 2023-2144 to reallocate funds which appropriated $125 in American Rescue Plan Act funds to WeGo in partnership with historically Black colleges and universities to allow students, faculty, and staff access to public transportation. RS 2024-744, Johnston, Gamble, Sepulveda, and others amends RS 2022-1860 as amended and substitute RS 2021-1260 to reallocate American Rescue Plan Act funds to the Strobel Center. RS 2024-747, Toombs, Porterfield, Gimble, and Allen authorizes the Metropolitan Department of Housing Agency to negotiate and enter into a pilot agreement to accept payments in lieu of ad valorem taxes with respect to multifamily housing project located at 869 West Trinity Lane, known as Trinity Flats. RS 2024-748, Toombs, Porterfield, Gimble, and Allen authorized the Metropolitan Department of Housing Agency to negotiate and enter into a pilot agreement and accept payment in lieu of ad valorem taxes with respect to multifamily housing project located at 3720 Clarksville Pike, known as North River. RS 2024-749, Toombs, Porterfield, Gimble, and Allen authorizes the Metropolitan Department and Housing Agency to negotiate and enter into a pilot agreement and accept payments in lieu of ad valorem taxes with respect to a multifamily housing project located at 876 West Trinity Lane, known as North View. RS 2024-751, Greg, Porterfield, and Gamble approves Amendment 1 to a grant from the Tennessee Historical Commission to the Metropolitan Historical Commission to complete an individual National Register of Historic Places nomination for the Elks Lodge, formerly Club Baron, at 2614 Jefferson Street, and an architectural survey in the Donaldson area. RS 2024-752, Porterfield, Wilson Ellis approves an acceptance letter from the Metropolitan Information Technology Services Department, ITS, to the Tennessee Department of Economic and Community Development, TDECD, regarding a Connected Community Facilities grant to construct and improve digital access through the creation of buildings and rehabilitation of existing facilities. RS 2024-753, Porterfield, Evans, Walsh, and others approves a contract between the Metropolitan Board of Health and the University of Tennessee on behalf of its College of Social Work to provide clinical and practical training experience to students enrolled in the various programs at the University of Tennessee College of Social Work. RS 2024-754, Porterfield, Evans, and Walsh approves Amendment 345 to a grant from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, CDC, to the Metropolitan Board of Health to implement foundational capabilities to build organizational resilience, promote employee well-being, and enhance workforce performance while focusing on healthier communities. RS 2024-755, Porterfield, Gad, Walsh, and Allen appropriates a total of $11,616 from the Nashville Public Library to Elmington Elevates Incorporated for the provision of free and high-quality after-school programming through the library's Nashville After Zone Alliance after-school time coordinated system. RS 2024-756, Gamble, Porterfield, Gad, and others approves the application for the Blue Cross Healthy Places in-kind grant from the Blue Cross Blue Shield of Tennessee Foundation to the Metropolitan Board of Parks and Recreation to complete a two-part improvement project at Cedar Hill Park in Madison. RS 2024-757, Porterfield authorizes the Metropolitan Department of Law to compromise and settle the personal injury claim of Jamie Martin against the Metropolitan government in the amount of $40,500, and that said amounts to be paid out of the self-insured liability fund. RS 2024-760, Porterfield authorizes the Metropolitan Department of Law to compromise and settle the personal injury claim of Victor Shute against the Metropolitan government in the amount of $25,000, for said amounts to be paid out of the self-insured liability fund. RS 2024-761, Porterfield authorizes the Metropolitan Department of Law to compromise and settle the personal injury claim of Peyton McCann against the Metropolitan government in the amount of $12,000, for said amounts to be paid out of the self-insured liability fund. RS 2024-762, Porterfield Parker approves an interlocal agreement between the City of Belmead and the Metropolitan Government by and through NDOT for the redesign and reconstruction of traffic signalization equipment and the intersection at Hardin Place and Belmead Boulevard. RS 2024-763, Porterfield authorizes the Metropolitan Department of Law to compromise and settle the personal injury claim of Melvin Reed against the Metropolitan Government in the amount of $35,000, and the said amount to be paid out of self-insured liability fund. RS 2024-764, Benedict, Porterfield, Gamble, and Parker authorizes the Director of Public Property or his designee to exercise an option agreement for the purchase of a flood-prone property located at 1225 RD Avenue for Metro Water Services. Is there anything that we want to pull off consent? Anyone else have anything else they want to pull off consent? Seeing none, can I get a motion? It has been moved and properly seconded. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Any opposed, nay. Any abstentions or anyone not voting? The consent agenda passes, 10 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting. And before he leaves, I would like to wish a special happy birthday to former Councilmember Kevin Roten. If y'all want to give him a little round of applause back there. And just in case he's watching, a happy birthday to Justin Rosenberg also. All right. The next item that we have that's not on consent is RS 2024-736 Porterfield, Welsh, Allen, and Ellis appropriates a total of $500,000 from a certain account to the general fund of the General Services District for a grant to the United Way of Middle Tennessee Incorporated to provide financial counseling and other financial education activities to low-income residents in accordance with the Financial Empowerment Center program model. Can I get a motion? Is there a second? It has been moved and properly seconded. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Any opposed, nay. Any abstentions or anyone not voting? Motion carries 10 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting. The next item is RS 2024-737, Porterfield, Welsh, Hancock, and others, approves an environmental and climate justice community change grants program application from the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency, EPA, to the Metro Government Office of the Mayor to engage disadvantaged communities in governmental decision-making aligned with the EPA's objectives of enhancing community involvement and environmental justice efforts. Can I get a motion? Is there a second? It has been moved and properly seconded. Is there any discussion? I had one question on this one. Did we have someone here to speak on this? Hey, if you could just introduce yourself. Just curious to know how you all are planning to engage disadvantaged communities in the government, in the decision-making process.
Good evening. My name is Kendra Apowitz. I work in the Mayor's Office on Sustainability and Resilience Issues. Under this grant application, we'll be seeking nearly $2 million to work in collaboration with the Community Foundation of Middle Tennessee via The Village. So they are an existing community-based organization convener with a focus on working with Black and minority-led organizations. And so that will be the primary mechanism that we'll be using to engage with leaders of community-based organizations. The bulk of the funding that we're applying for, that is all but $75,000 over a 3-year period, is actually going directly to the Community Foundation and the Village. And what that mechanism for delivery of increased engagement will look like is a series of different convenings, workshops, trainings, mini grants, also looking at fellowships, and essentially enhancing the services that are already provided by the Village. And so there will be opportunities for the general public to engage in those opportunities as well.
Thank you so much. Do we have any other questions? I'm so sorry. Councilwoman Sorrell, you're recognized.
Thank you. Will there be any tracking mechanism of which community engage and what exactly is being produced?
Councilmember Suarez. So as part of, if awarded these funds, we have to engage in robust reporting as part of the grant contract. And so there will be quarterly meetings that are held to talk about performance management in particular. And then within our grant application for each of the different categories where we will be providing services, we'll be tracking metrics regarding number of individuals engaged and which communities they're representing.
All right. Are there any other questions, comments, concerns? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Any opposed, nay. Any abstentions or anyone not voting? Motion carries 10 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting. The next item not on consent is RS 2024-739, authorizes the issuance, sale, and payment of general obligation improvement bonds in an aggregate principal amount not to exceed $860 million and providing for the levy of ad valorem taxes for the payment of debt services on the bonds. Can I get a motion? Is there a second? It has been moved and properly seconded. Is there any discussion? Council Lady Allen, you're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair. First, I have two. First question is there's a mention of a 10-year optional redemption period. And I don't know enough about bonds to know if that's typical or if interest rates got fantastic in the next 5 years, if we could take advantage of a better interest rate before that 10-year time.
And if you could just introduce yourself, please.
Hi, my name is Michelle Bosch. I'm the Metropolitan Treasurer. Yes, it is typical. Okay. We typically issue 20-year bonds with a 10-year call option, and that allows us to potentially refinance should the economics change in the next few years, closer to the 10-year mark, so that we can get better pricing.
But it would have to be after that 10-year mark. Is that what that means?
No, not necessarily. We can do it in advance, and we have done that before. Typically, there's tax rules in terms of how far in advance you can do it, but we could do it up to, 7 years from now.
Awesome. Okay, thank you.
Thank you so very much, Council Lady Allen. Council Lady Sawyer, you're recognized.
Thank you, Chair. This is typical, so I don't really have any question, but I think every time we're talking of a large amount, it's good to always refresh the viewing audience why we had to do this refinancing. And if you can touch on the impact on our debt ratio.
Yes. I don't have, I don't have the number of the debt, that it will affect the debt ratio. I can get that for you after this meeting. I will say the expected annual cost will be $62 million that will add to our annual debt service, and that's starting in fiscal year '26.
For clarification, we always do these bonds to get better rates and consolidate all our commercial papers. I think that's what I was hoping that we can get into so people know that we're not just going out to get additional 860 million, we're just trying to refinance existing commercial papers.
That's right. You're absolutely right. This 860 million will cover to repay the commercial paper program, which is now has been fully expended. We had a leeway of about 700 million to use for capital projects, and those have been used. And we are also drawing an additional 200 million to continue to pay for capital projects and take advantage of the inverted yield curve. And this transaction will also include cost of issuance.
Thank you. Council Lady Sawyer, did you have any additional questions? Councilmember Druffel, you're recognized.
Yeah, a question on, we determined that we would be able to see the projected debt increase as a percentage of budget going for the next 5 years. Do you have that analysis by chance?
I don't have it here with me. We are required to submit that with every CSP, and that will be included in that presentation, but I can get that for you.
Okay, thanks so much.
Thank you. Do we have any other questions, comments, or concerns? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Any opposed, nay. Any abstentions or anyone not voting? Motion carries 11 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting. And I do want to correct number 2, y'all, RS 2024-737. That was 11 in favor, not 10 in favor. My apologies. All right, the next item that is not on the consent agenda is RS 2024-740, Gamble, Johnston, Sepulveda, and others. Amends Resolution RS 2021-1150, RS 2021-1203, RS 2021-1262, RS 2021-1264, RS 2022-1357, as amended, RS 2022-1831, and RS 2023-1949, to reallocate certain American Rescue Plan Act funds to the Mayor's Office of Advancement and Strategic Partnerships and to responders engaged and committed to help and public health and safety salaries. Can I get a motion? Is there a second? It's been moved and properly seconded. Council Lady Allen, did you want to be recognized?
I did have some questions, if I might ask them. So I'm excited we're doing REACH, and I'm glad that, that we are funding it. My questions are, how are we funding REACH now before we reallocated this money? And REACH is the fire department non-police response to low-level mental health crises. How are we funding it now? And then some of the places that we took this from include $9,000. That can't be right. Some amount of money to Metro Waste Services for trash pickup fleet, and don't we still need that? And then we also took $205,000 from ECD for that economic development master plan that we were going to do, which I just wondered whatever happened to that, and maybe it just was a casualty of changing departments. And then finally, there was $272,000 that was going to Turk for legal services, and don't they still need that? So I just would be interested to hear how those decisions to reallocate those funds were made.
Thank you, Councilmember Allen. The first question was, how are we currently funding REACH?
Correct.
So do we have Mark Young that's going to address that one. And then for waste, we have someone, we have Mr. Honeysucker in the back. We will let him address that one. And then for the ECD master plan, as well as Turk, I'll go to the administration for those. So Mr. Young, if you could introduce yourself.
Mark Young, Council Liaison for Fire Department. Council Lady, REACH is funded through the Fire Department's budget, how it is set right now. And REACH actually got an increase in the substitute budget this past year. So it's budgetary funded. What's happening here, this 38,000 doesn't necessarily have to go to REACH. It can go to the health department, used in other places. But if it does end up going to REACH, we can definitely use it. But REACH is funded through the budgetary process.
Before we go any further, I'm going to call Council Lady Johnston to kind of give us a overview from the ARP committee, and then we will go over to address anyone else that needs to respond. So Council Lady Johnston, you're recognized.
Thank you. So ARP funds were allocated through multiple, you see multiple of these resolutions. So when these funds aren't able to be expended in the time period that we have to put them somewhere, otherwise the federal government pulls it back. So what we did was we said, we think that these funds are not going to be expended. It doesn't mean they don't need them. It means they just don't have the time to expend them or for whatever reason. So we first said we want to fund REACH. And then the second part of it is once that's fully funded or once that reaches saturation, for lack of a better term, then it would go to public safety salaries, just like we did with the CARES Act fund balances, just so that we have the money. We don't want to give it back to the federal government. So that's what this is. It's basically just a cleanup. It's going to be a very small amount relative to the $300+ million that we got from CARES and from ARPA funds. But that's really the premise of it. So each one of these different allocations we're not pulling money away. It's really just when those things are not spent, we have a place to put them that's prescriptive.
Thank you, Council Lady Johnston. Council Lady Allen, did you want the specifics about waste and the ECD master plan in Turk?
I'll skip the ECD master plan, but if I could hear from Waste and Turk, that would be handy.
Okay, thanks. We have Amanda Moyer, who I believe wants to respond.
Thanks, Amanda Deaton Moyer, Department of Finance. Most of these are that we've done exactly what we said we would do in this legislation. So that $8,000 or so, not a rental can be done with just that amount of money. So it's the very last bit. And that's how most of these actually go through is we've done exactly what was in the legislation and this is what's left over. And is exactly as Council Member Johnson said, it prescribes what happens when we've either met the need or the need is not or is no longer needed.
Thank you, Council Lady Allen. Council Lady Sora, you recognize?
Thank you, Chair. I actually pulled it for the ECD part of it. Because, when we're talking about the economic development and helping businesses and things like that with that market analysis, I'm very much interested in have we done it? And if we haven't done it, we would be finding other places to fund it if we take it away this time. And then the last part of my question is, can you elaborate on the position that we're funding in the mayor's office with this funds?
Ms. Deaton Moyer, you're recognized.
Thank you. So I'm going to start with the ECD answer, and then I'll toss it over to my colleague, Mr. Rosenberg, for the other. So the market analysis has been completed, and it is being used internally, and it came under the estimate.
Thank you. Thank you, council member. So
If you could introduce yourself, sir.
Dave Rosenberg,
Thank you.
Office of Mayor Freddie O'Connell. This creates the Office of Advancement and Strategic Partnerships and creates 3 positions within it. It would be the Director of Advancement and Strategic Partnerships, a Grants Program Manager, and a Grants Writer.
Council Lady Sora, you're recognized.
Thank you. The grants that we see right now that we always have coming in, we do not have a central place for a grant writer. Each department does their own, so this position would not make it a central position. Is it for all the department? Is it just for the mayor's office?
A little of both. It'll be used to find opportunities for departments as well, but also things that will help citywide. It'll be for hunting down philanthropic grants, corporate opportunities, state and federal grants that right now are just being left out there untouched because we don't have an office that goes and searches these out.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Chair.
Thank you, Council Lady Sora. And did Council Lady Allen, did that address your question for waste management, or did you want waste management to answer? You're good. Okay. Did anyone else have any other questions or concerns? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Any opposed, nay. Any abstentions or anyone not voting? Motion carries 11 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting. The next item is RS 2024-741, Gamble, Johnston, Sepulveda, and others. Amend substitute RS 2023-2143, which appropriated $471,694 in American Rescue Plan Act funds to Big Brothers Big Sisters of Middle Tennessee in partnership with Tennessee State University to extend the projected program term through June 30th, 2025. Can I get a motion? Is there a second? It's been moved and properly seconded. Councilor Soror, you're recognized.
Thank you, Chair. I'm in support of Big Brother, Big Sister and all the program. But what I was wondering is if somebody can explain, is there any reason why the funds were not used? What is the update on the program? What is causing delay to require an extension so that at least we can make sure that all the issues that make the funds not to be used are addressed?
And do we have someone from administration that would like to address that? Oh, okay. All right, Council Lady Johnston, and then I also saw Council Lady Gamble.
Thank you. So these funds will be used. We're just giving them additional time. So when we allocate funds through ARPA, we say you have a certain amount of time. The federal guidelines say they have to be allocated by a certain time period and then spent by a certain time period. So if you can't do that, we have to make some changes. So what we initially said was December 31st. I think for most of them, maybe it was November of this year to be allocated or spent. And so they're asking just for an extension. Nothing is changing. They're still going to be able to spend everything. The program is all the same. We're just giving them additional time.
Council Lady Soror, you're recognized.
Thank you, CM Justin. I understand the extension of time. But my question is, when they do come before your committee, do you guys ask? Because when people apply and say, we're going to do X, Y, Z in this time period, we need to be able to say, why was it not done in that time period? That's the question that I was asking. Thank you.
Councilmember Johnston, would you like to respond? And also have Council Lady Gamble.
Gamble may have more. I don't remember the specifics, but there's usually a good reason.
Okay, Council Lady Gamble, you're recognized.
Thank you, Chair. And just to expand on what Councilmember Johnston said, this particular program has been operating. They do expect to use the funds. It had a slower start than they would have liked, and so it pushed the timing back, but they have already met and I can't remember the number of students that they were supposed to serve. They've already met that, and they expect to serve even more students with this extended time frame. So that's why we're asking that they get the extended time frame so they can serve more students with the same amount of dollars.
Council Lady Soror, do you have any other questions? All right. Is there any additional comments, questions, or concerns? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. All those opposed say nay. Any abstentions or anyone not voting? Motion carries 11 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting. The next item that was not on consent is agenda item number 10, RS 2024-745, Sepulveda, Gamble, Johnston, and others. Amends RS 2022-1311 to reallocate funds which appropriated $15 million in American Rescue Plan Act funds to the Metropolitan Development and Housing Authority to improve infrastructure at Casey Place. Can I get a motion? Is there a second? It has been moved and properly seconded. Any discussion? Council Lady Soror, you recognized.
Thank you. Same line of questioning. I was wondering what happened to the sewer separation project, if that's been completed, and if it's not, will this be funded somewhere else if the money is reappropriated?
Thank you. We have Dr. White from MDHA. Dr. White, if you could just introduce yourself when you get to the podium, please.
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman. Dr. Troy White, Executive Director of MDHA. So what we're really doing here is reallocating the funds. I'm going to answer your infrastructure question at the end, so I heard it in the back. We're reallocating funds from the infrastructure side to the production of the units at 5th and Summer. So we've got 107 units at 5th and Summer, of which 50% will be for low-income residents at our site. We have a strategy to spend the remaining funding within 6 months there. On the 800 to 900,000 of these dollars will be spent timely on the remaining design. So we're finishing up 100% drawings for architect engineering work for the design of that sewer separation project, which is a pretty mammoth project going from Shelby all the way to the Cumberland River. So we're anticipating looking at three sources of funds, some federal funds that through the Department of Transportation, we would be working with the mayor's office in terms of the capital fund. We also are going to look with the water department to see if the enterprise fund could be used on that function. So those are the three sources. We anticipate having 100% drawings again, and we've been working on this design project with the water department all along. To answer the final piece of why we didn't get it done, it is a major undertaking, and we anticipated not only getting the design done, but the work done. But as we got into the work, we realized the design work was much more time consuming than what we thought. And because the dollars would stay in the Casey footprint, we're trying to put them to production so that we can continue the work, not obligate, expend the dollars in 6 months so that we can move our project forward over there.
Thank you so much, Dr. White. Councilor Soroya, you're recognized.
Thank you, Dr. White. As someone who is very interested in having housing and additional housing, I'm glad that we're reallocating to provide more units. So that was not the reason why I asked. But the reason was because I also know that as we're producing more housing, we want to make sure that the infrastructure can catch up with the housing that we're producing. And so that's why I wanted to know if we pull it out of there, is there plan to replace it, which you said you have three places that you're looking at. So, and that's good enough. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Councilor Soroya. Is there any additional questions, comments, or concerns? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. All those opposed say nay. Any abstentions or anyone not voting? Motion carries 11 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting. The next item not on consent is RS 2024-746, Johnston, Gamble, Sepulveda, and others. Amends RS 2021-1152 as amended, which appropriated $3,148,980 in the American Rescue Plan Act funds, and RS 2023-1952, which appropriated an additional $326,800 in American Rescue Plan Act funds to the Office of Family Safety for the Metropolitan Government to reallocate the use of funds, and approving Amendment 2 to the grant agreements between the Office of Family Safety to various nonprofit organizations. Can I get a motion? It has been moved and properly seconded, and we have a request for a one-meeting deferral. I'm going to go to the administration table to explain the deferral, please.
Thank you, Chair. We'd like to defer this one as presently the exhibit and the actual words in legislation don't match, and we want to get this right the first time instead of coming back to amend it. So you'll see the correction as an amendment next meeting.
Thank you so very much. Can I get a motion? It has been moved and properly seconded. Is there any discussion on the deferral? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. All those opposed, nay. Any abstentions or anyone not voting? We have a one-meeting deferral, 11 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting. The next item not on consent is RS 2024-750, Porterfield, Gamble, Welsh, and others, authorizes grants not exceeding $11,700,000 from the Barnes Fund for Affordable Housing to certain nonprofits for the express purpose of constructing and rehabilitating affordable or workforce housing. Can I get a motion? Is there a second? It has been moved and properly seconded. Is there any discussion? All right, seeing none, all those in favor say aye. All those opposed, nay. Any abstentions or anyone not voting? Motion carries 11 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting. The next item that's not on consent is RS 2024-758, Porterfield Evans accepts a port security grant from the U.S. Department of Homeland Security to the Metro Office of Emergency Management to support increased port-wide risk management and protect critical surface transportation infrastructure from acts of terrorism, major disasters, and other emergencies. Can I get a motion? Is there a second? It's been moved and properly seconded. Do we have someone that can speak to this? Would that be administration? I will share the information that I have. Just in case anyone, like myself, is curious what this was, I want to make sure that y'all have the same information. This is the resolution accepting a port security grant from the U.S. Department of Homeland Security to the Metropolitan Government, acting by and through the Office of Emergency Management to support increased port-wide risk management and protect critical surface transportation infrastructure from acts of terrorism, major disasters, and other emergencies. This provides a grant for the purchase of the following: MMPD for multi-hazard rapid maritime response boat, dive equipment, water rescue equipment, medical supplies, IED and EOD protective suit, and for NFD boat training, small fire boat, search and rescue training for NFD and area agencies. So did anyone have any questions, comments, or concerns about that? Mr. Young, did you want to be recognized?
Yes, Chair Lady, I was just, I was kind of not paying good attention, I guess. Did you have some questions about the resolution, or did somebody?
No, sir. I just wanted to make sure that we spoke into the room what exactly this resolution was doing so that everybody could know, but we read out the information, so I think we're good.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Young. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Any opposed, nay. Any abstentions or anyone not voting? Motion carries 11 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting. The next item is RS 2024-759, Porterfield, Evans, and Ellis accepts an in-kind grant from the Nashville Police and Public Safety Alliance to the Metropolitan Nashville Police Department to provide customized leadership training for Metropolitan Nashville Police Department supervisors. Can I get a motion? Is there a second? It has been moved and properly seconded. Is there any discussion? Council Lady Soror, you are recognized.
Thank you, Chair. I just wanted to know if someone can speak more about it. I know that a couple of years back, Metro Human Rights Commission does a training for police that goes around the different communities. I know I was a part of it for many years, and so I don't think that's still going on. But I just wanted to know if this is in addition to, a part of, on top of, separate from that training that MHRC does.
Thank you so very much, Council Lady Sepulveda. Council Lady Soror. Council Lady Sepulveda, I did see your hand, so I'll call on you next. Thank you, Council Lady Soror. And in the back, we have Deputy Chief Gilder. If you could introduce yourself, please.
Sure. Chris Gilder, Metro Police Department. To answer your question, this is not taking the place of that training. I know what you're talking about. That was primarily training that was conducted at our academy with our new recruits, and we move people through the community and so they can make those interactions. This is actually a new additional training that is going to provide leadership development for our supervisors within the department. You know, as you move up through the department, you get into the rank captain, commander, you get more opportunities to go to some leadership training. But this is a customized training that's built for everyone from our sergeants and our lieutenants on upward, which is a good thing because our sergeants and lieutenants are the folks that are working, you know, overnight hours on the weekends, making a lot of those decisions. And so this is a pretty unique opportunity, and we're pretty excited about it.
Thank you, Deputy Chief Gilder. Council Lady Soror, you're recognized.
Thank you, Chief. Can you talk more about the organization doing the training? And then would there be, is it a local organization? And if it's not, would there be use of local people or interaction with local people? And I say that because one of the things I love about that cadet training is the fact that it actually goes into community, there's interaction with local folks. Is that part of this or it's not?
So the training you're talking about with the Metro Human Relations Commission is training that is conducted at our academy. Last time I checked, it was still ongoing. I don't think that has stopped. This is for folks those are new trainees that are coming through the academy. These are for our existing supervisors that are already out there in the field. This is to develop leadership skills.
Thank you, Council Lady Soror. Thank you, Deputy Chief. Council Lady Sepulveda, you are recognized.
Thank you, Chair, for recognizing me. I just had a question in regards to the grant. I was reading through it. I was just hoping to get some more information in regards to the Nashville Police and Public Safety Alliance. I'm not too familiar with it. I wanted to know if it's a nonprofit. I was reading through it, and it says the money will not will pass through MMPD. The Alliance received a grant from the Best Year Yet Foundation. So just wanted some more information as to the background of the grant.
You're recognized.
So they are a 501c3. The money is not coming to the Metro government. They are paying directly for the training, and this is an in-kind grant.
Thank you, Councilor Sepulveda. Oh, yeah, you're still recognized. Oh, you're done? Okay. Council Lady Vo, you are recognized.
Thank you, Chair, for acknowledging me, even though I'm not on the committee. I just wanted to clarify, is the grant only for one year, or how long will the grant last? I was reading that the in-kind value is right under $500,000. So just wanted to understand how long this would be for.
Deputy Chief Gilder, you're recognized.
So it's a two-phase training. I believe I'd have to look at and of course I didn't print off the grant contract information, but I believe it's over the course of a 2-year period. But that should be on the first page of the attachment that's on the legislation. I just didn't print that off with me. I'm sorry.
It is October 1st, 2024 to September 30th, 2027.
Okay, so
I think 3 years.
3-year period.
Yeah. Did you have any other questions, Council Lady Vo? No? Okay, did we have any other questions? I did have a question, Deputy Chief. Does anyone review the curriculum, or how is the curriculum like approved, and how is like this curriculum selected?
So the deputy chief over our training academy, Michelle Richter, who y'all are probably pretty familiar with, she has been working in conjunction with the InterraWorks on the training itself. And in fact, the executive staff, command staff are going to be getting a kind of a condensed version of that training as well. So we're actually going to go through it before it's provided to all the other supervisors out there in the field.
What happens if y'all go through it and like y'all don't agree with it or something? Like if like how do we know that this is vetted if our leaders are going through this program?
Well, I think it has been vetted, like I said, in part because the deputy chief over our training division has been working in conjunction with this. And so certainly we would not push out training to our folks that didn't align with our policy, our values, the law. But that's in part, again, why I think the command staff goes through it first. But like I said, it has been vetted and reviewed by our deputy chief over training.
Thank you. And then I just have one more question, I think. Two questions. And to be clear, this is not, the police department is not getting any money from this nonprofit. The nonprofit is solely providing training over the next 3 years. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, thank you. And then my last question is that it says that the training is to promote safety, compassion, and trust within trust in the MMPD and the city of Nashville. This may be a question for the nonprofit, so I don't know if you have the information. But with like the development of the curriculum, how are they kind of like garnering like trust within the department? Like the people that have like facilitated this training, are they working in tandem with the communities that have expressed that they are maybe lacking trust in the police department? Like, are they working directly with the community to hear what those concerns are and to address those concerns?
Yeah, and having reviewed some of the training materials, I think what they're getting at is the goal here is to develop those skills within the supervisors to build that community trust themselves, to go out there, be ambassadors, and build that community trust within the community. In fact, they cover things, like building empathy and emotional intelligence, covering topics like diversity and inclusion, in addition to the leadership stuff. So again, I think it's building those skill sets within our supervisors so that they can go out there and engage the community and build community trust.
Thank you. And my final question, I thought that was my last one, but my last question, if there's like another nonprofit that offers like similar training that they want to offer the police department, like what is the process? Like would that nonprofit just reach out to y'all and say, hey, we want y'all to go through our training?
Absolutely. Just reach out. And again, it would go through kind of the same process. We'd have our training folks look at it, make sure it aligns with what we teach. And if it's something we can use, which, we're always looking for good training opportunities. So we would be happy to entertain that.
Thank you. And next we have Councilmember Prepty, and then I think Council Lady Soror maybe want to be recognized again. Councilmember Prepty, you're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair, for recognizing me, though I'm not on the committee. And thank you for being here, Chief Gilder. I've got two main questions. First, starting off with this specific nonprofit, has MNPD worked with them before in the past, or is this the first?
So they are a relatively new nonprofit, and this is the first item that we have are coming to council with that involves them. Yeah.
And then I see here, and I know you stated that you don't have the document in front of you, and I'd be willing to share the screen that I'm looking at right now. But it says that the maximum number of participants in this would be 30. Would that be 30 per year? Could you give us sort of a broad overview of?
Yeah, so they're talking about training sessions because they do have, again, it occurs in phases. And like one of the phases is they actually have some group coaching. So there's some kind of more hands-on one-on-one. So they limit class size. I think that's what you're reading is what they're referring to.
Okay. And so I guess then my follow-up question to that is how many sworn MNPD officers would be participating in this training over the course of the 2 years?
The total number of training, let me see. Don't know that I had that number handy in front of me, but let me check if I've got it.
It looks like it's a 30, maximum number of participants is 30, total investment per cohort 30,
Right.
total investment executive team 15, total 3-year investment is 300, if that helps jog your memory.
Yes, I'm sorry, that is it. The maximum number of participants is 300 over the course of the grant.
And so have those within MNPD's leadership structure been identified, like those who MNPD will be sending to these trainings, have those individuals been identified yet, or how will that process be for officers to be selected for this training program?
So they've not been identified just yet. Again, first we didn't want to get the cart and the horse, other than the fact that we wanted our executive team, commander leadership to go through that. But from there, it'll probably boil down to looking at, obviously we can't pull all supervisors from Hermitage Precinct to go through it at the same time because we've got to have supervisors in Hermitage Precinct. So what we would do is like we do with other training, which is start rotating around, pull a contingent from here, move them through the training so that, those areas are still staffed, and then rotate that around.
Thank you. Those are my questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Any additional questions? All right, seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Any opposed? Nay. Oh, I'm so sorry. Council Lady Soror, you had another question.
Yes. I'll comment.
I just remembered, sorry.
It's okay. Thank you, Chief. I think training is always good, but I wanted to find out, is there any way we can check with the non-for-profit on who the trainers, not just the curriculum itself, but who the trainers are? And these are things that's just coming to me. I remember many years ago, the Murfreesboro Police Department had a training for police. And after the training was completed, we found out that the trainer that they actually brought in town is a non-Islamophobe. And so we need to be able to make sure that the people that are doing the training are not people that, so I'm hoping that the organization will vet not just the curriculum, but also the people that are actually doing it. I think it's great. I'm in support of it, but experience has taught us to just be a lot more careful. Sure. And I'm hoping that this is something that both MNPD and the organization will be very careful of. I also wanted to put in there that I think the question that Councilmember Porterfield was talking about is also, as we're looking into improving trust. That's one of the things I love about that cadet training, in that it actually goes into those community. If there's any way to incorporate something like that, because if you're trying to build trust, it has to be a two-way relationship, right? And so making sure that the community that are impacted are part of that conversation in some form or way. It could be in the curriculum already. I don't know what it is, but this is just something that I wanted to also put out there. So thank you.
Sure.
Thank you, Councilor Sora. Would you like to respond?
If I may. So two things. One, absolutely. I'd keep in mind that this is not our only training that we do, and we do have training, obviously, that is heavily involved in community relations and community building community trust. But I do have the bios on the instructors for the course, and I would be more than happy to send that to you once I get back to a computer.
Thank you kindly. Any additional discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Any opposed, nay. Any abstentions or anyone not voting? Motion carries 11 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting. And before we adjourn, we're going to have just a quick 30-second update on our working groups that we have been having. So I'm going to start with Council Lady Allen. You are recognized. We're going to make it very, very brief, y'all.
Thank you, Madam Vice. Thank you, Madam Chair. The nonprofit committee met last week and talked with nonprofit organizations that are seeing what Metro looks like from the applicant side. It was good feedback on how we can do that part of the process better. We will meet again in a month. That date will be published ahead of time. And we'll be looking at what a timeline ought to look like and how we can do a better job of being more transparent with what the Metro grant process looks like for those organizations that offer services that Metro needs done that they can do better. We're not in the business of giving money away, but there are things that the government needs to do, and for the nonprofits that can do that for us, we want to make sure there's a good, transparent, and equitable and well laid out process. So that's where we are.
Thank you, Council Lady Allen. Vice Chair Toombs.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The Human Resources Work Group met, I don't remember the exact date, but a couple of weeks ago, to go over salary savings data from the various departments. We did request some additional information, which I believe the Finance Department has provided. We are going to schedule another meeting for sometime next week. We just haven't finalized the date yet to go over that information. We will be reaching out to departments to dig deeper into how they're spending salary savings in an effort to be more transparent in how their budgeted funds are spent and what's actually going into fund balance that could possibly be better used in other ways. So that's where we are at this point.
Thank you so much. And Council Lady Soror.
Thank you, Chair. The procurement work group met once basically to just have a timeline of what we're doing. And so what we agreed to do, the next step that we're going to have is we're getting finance to provide us a list of the procurements that are occurred in the last 12 months and to be able to look into the departments that actually, based on numbers, and based on the number of times that people use the procurement services, so we can determine what department we want to interview. We're also going to be talking to finance as well to look at what process they have and to be able to hopefully come up with performance improvement. So the next stage that we have is our next meeting, we'll be talking to finance to have an overview of the process. We'll also be looking at the transactions detail to be able to determine the department that we want to interview as part of the work group. And we should be doing that in the next week or two. Thank you.
Thank you. And then the last update comes from the special call meeting that I had when we were talking about just kind of financial oversight and what that looks like with regards to our boards and commissions and departments and how we can make sure that we are just really having a good line of communication with how spending is going and not just kind of waiting to budget before that information comes back before the body. And finance was going to provide me with some updates on how some other municipalities that are similar to Nashville, just some of their like accountability and transparency measures that they're using. And then after we get that information, we will have some recommendations to come back to the committee with. So thank you all for your time. And with that, our meeting is adjourned.
This has been a service of the Metro Nashville Network. If you would like to see this presentation again, or for more information on this and other programs, visit nashville.gov.